Oh yeah, got 'em. We can see them.
Should be it. Beautiful cocktail. Sorry.
It's stronger than sticks, stones, and steel. It's not replacing the house on hill. A lot of things will come and go, but love never will. Oh, I'm proud of the house we built.
Welcome to the KM Builders Remodeling and Design Show. I'm Keith Maley and glad to have you this Saturday. We are talking all things remodeling as usual, and you are welcome to join in the show at 737-1200 or 1-800-383-WAI. And joining me today is Morgan. Can you check your mic there?
Hello, everybody.
There we go. I always forget if it's number 2 or 3, and it looks like you're on number 3. So we are talking also today about cost versus value. We mentioned it last week that we'd be discussing this. The latest study from the Harvard University on cost versus value has now been published, and we're going to go over some of those details. It appears to be the best in the industry, and of course, even the best in the industry is subject to local scrutinization, local adjustment, and it doesn't tell the whole story. So we're going to try to tell the whole story on cost versus value in remodeling today, and we will also be taking your calls live again at 737-1200. Morgan and I are also live on video. Tell us where you go.
You can go to Facebook at KM Builders 1 or just search for KM Builders on YouTube.
Thank you, Morgan, who handles our marketing. And we do a lot of live videos, by the way. What have we got on video lately?
Well, we have some vlog videos on YouTube that we have been visiting different projects. We got a really cool video about an attic expansion, or excuse me, an upstairs garage.
Splitting that garage in half. And we're going to be talking to that client pretty soon about their project. So we also follow up. Well, we've got some cool videos on projects that we're already doing, and we've got a really large, gorgeous project that we're going to be releasing videos. But there's a lot of videos, and you can also catch our shows if you've missed some. Some of the recent shows have been really good. We've done a one on keeping on guard against unscrupulous contractors, crooked contractors, that type of thing. We've done some on countertops, on cabinets, the latest trends. We've done some on pest control, how important it is. These are just some of the latest ones, and we can show you some really cool flooring. And what's really cool about this LVP flooring, we did a whole show on that, is that it is so wood-like realistic, but it's 100% waterproof. It even has a lifetime guarantee on it, and it usually costs about 1/3 the cost to 1/4 the cost of installing wood or tile, porcelain tile. And it can go in an environment where a lot of times we don't have to remove the existing flooring. It's just really, really nice. And so if you'd like to see our showroom, give us a call at 680-5626, or just log on at kmbuilders.com and you can find out all the information about how to get hold of us. We are open usually from 7 to 5 every day, and sometimes a little later. But if you catch any of those hours other than those, then you can leave a message. We'll call you back. Again, today we are talking cost versus value. And every year the Harvard University does a study in conjunction with real estate markets and with remodeling costs of different places in the country. And we're going to talk about some of the things and how they've been affected. We're going to compare San Antonio and Austin. And one of the reasons is because Austin is more consistent with some of the upper end places in San Antonio. And it is changing. San Antonio's whole atmosphere and economy is changing. We were ranked recently as one of the top 5 cities in the nation for economies and the growth. And 3 of those cities, Dallas, Austin, and San Antonio, are obviously in Texas. The other 2 are elsewhere in the country. So we do have a very hot market. It's expected to keep getting hotter and hotter, and we have also learned that remodeling is supposed to explode in the next decade. And so the good news is that you're probably going to get more and more for your value, for the cost, more value for the cost, even in a monetary way. And of course, as we go through this study, we do not want you to think that the only value you want to think about is obviously the money that you're spending and the money you could get back. There's a lot more to the value to be considered, and we'll talk about that too. So we're going to talk about some of the changes in bathroom remodeling, how they were affected, kitchen remodelings, both mid-range and upscale. We're going to talk about master suites, and those are very popular projects, window replacements, and siding replacements, roofing replacements. These are some of the products that we're going to be talking about, some of the projects that you may have wanted to do, and maybe a couple other projects too, to see how they compare from last year versus this year. And then also, how do they vary from us in the nation, and what to keep in mind when we're doing that. So again, we can take your calls at 737-1200 on any topic. I did want to give a little follow-up before we get into cost versus value in the next section. Give a little follow-up. We are working with Al, who called the show last week, and we're going to be trying to assist him to get the contractor to finish up his project. And it is a segment that we're going to start doing frequently on the show. It's usually going to be in the first section where we talk about things that were built wrong and how we can assist clients, and something that we've been doing forever in trying to get people out of a bad situation or prevent a bad situation in the first place, which is why we want to emphasize this in the show during the first part. It's one of the reasons we did the show. And I know Morgan has seen over the years and heard stories about projects and crazy projects and how they go wrong. You've even seen them when you drive around, don't you?
Yeah, I noticed them.
Yeah, she's got the eye of the daughter of a carpenter and a builder. And you know, you can go through a lot of neighborhoods and see that things were not built per code, and they're still standing, they're still there. They should have been torn down, and the city should have made these structures go away. And if you are in a neighborhood where that's the case, and you have noticed that something doesn't look right, you can always give me a call. I'll come out, we'll check the codes on it, and then you can decide what you want to do. If you would like to call the city and say, hey, this is in violation, you can always call the city, of course, first, but it'll take a little while. We like to respond quickly. We want to assist the community in this. So give us a call at the office at 680-KMCO, or look us up again at kmbuilders.com. And when we come back, we're going to be talking about the cost versus value. Looks like we have a call or two, so we may be able to take a couple of calls. But before we do that, I want to just mention my friends Greg White over at Billy's Western Wear. I go to the one out in Bernie, and there's another one out there in Kerrville. And what a great pair of Tony Lama. I just got ostrich skin. Thanks a lot, Greg, for the great service, like always. And my wife got a great pair also. And with that, we'll go to the next section. When we get back, we'll talk about cost versus value on the KM Builders Remodeling and Design Show.
The clock is ticking. Every day
You turned it off all the way.
Okay.
Okay, you can help me.
I was like, I don't remember which way it goes.
So 2 things I want you to help me with since you sit there. I want you to help me with that, and then help me
Okay.
remember the promos.
Okay, yeah.
That's your job.
And so I'm off, and when the calls come on to get you to hit the buttons.
That's right, the buttons. You're button lady, and you are promo lady. Marketing, right?
Yes.
Another aspect of our marketing.
Yeah.
I better look up that email that you gave me
That email.
on cost versus value.
Okay, I sent.
Because I'm missing one of the printouts of the pages I wanted.
And I have them downloaded so I can give it to you.
What does that mean?
Well, I can airdrop it to you.
Okay, here, well, actually, look, the first one I pulled up was this.
Okay.
Here we go.
Maybe we can show them on the air, say, and if if you're watching on Facebook, we'll show you what the report looks like. I don't know.
I don't
Try
think
and
you
get
can
them
see
come.
anything. I don't think you can see anything.
Just to try and get them to come and look. You
You
know.
could show them this, but it's not that interesting.
So that way they maybe comment on your Facebook.
Maybe you need something every week to show.
Look, we have to be so close in the Facebook.
What do you mean?
Because we're barely fitting.
We have to be so close together.
In the beginning, I was out of it. That's why I kept moving like this.
Well, that's good. Watch yourself now.
I know, it's really funny. They're just super delayed. Did you find the page you were looking for?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Do this. This is your mouth.
Do you need the information?
Yeah. I don't remember the phone number. I don't think I have it. What's the number?
800-468-7859.
That's it. No, LOE. So maybe this is for you. Turn it. Welcome back. Welcome back to the KM Builders Remodeling and Design Show. I'm Keith Maley, and Morgan Maley Roberts is with us today in the studio as always, helping us out with the video at Facebook.KM Builders at KM Builders 1, isn't it?
Yep, on Facebook, and search for us on YouTube at KM Builders.
And watch us live there. We usually try to do a couple of things. We'll do better and better at that. We're getting more and more used to this. I'm really having to get used to being live on the radio, which doesn't make sense, but we're kind of live at the same time we're on the radio, I guess you could say. And we have a really nice subject to talk about. If you'd like to talk about cost versus value remodeling, or anything else in remodeling you'd like to talk about, we'll take your calls at 737-1200. Let's go ahead and start the segment with a call from Steve, if you're there.
Yes, I do have a question about remodeling. I was trying to find out if a home builder, home remodeler is required to give you a policy number or a bond number that he is insured with. That's my question.
Steve, that's a great question. No one's required to give you any information at all, but I sure wouldn't do business with someone who was reluctant to give the information. And you mentioned two things. One is your policy number, which you're obviously talking about insurance. And the insurance that you're referring to typically that you want to make sure your contractor has is general liability. That covers work in progress and completed projects, that it would not be dangerous. One thing the wouldn't tear down, it wouldn't burn up and so forth. That's general liability, no one should get hurt. If anyone to get hurt, if damage another property, if it rained on your house while it was going on and did damage, all that's covered with general liability. You definitely want that. It also would protect if someone got killed on the job, one of your family members were hurt, even a pet or something like that. So that's a very good insurance to have. And the second thing you asked about, and let me just say before that, make sure I emphasize this. You definitely want your contractor to be insured with general liability, and you definitely want to make sure that you verify his policy. We're always willing to show all of that to our clients before they do business with us, and if they want to check it out, they can call the insurance company and make sure, because it is one of the scams that people use. Contractors know that they seldom ever get checked on by a client. And what's the worst they can say is, oh, we're getting that renewed. I'm sorry, I gave you the wrong number. And then they just don't answer the questions at all from there on. Because you've already decided at that point you're not going to do business with them, right?
Well, I did business with a home builder, home remodeler in San Antonio. And my mistake was that I paid him because I trusted the man. I paid him before he even finished, or really before he even started. But I was trying to find out if he breached contract, and it is a house that my wife and I had been trying to remodel because it caught fire a couple of years ago, and we were able to gather up some money to remodel it. But this man breached contract, and we're losing money. Even up to now, he's still not done with it yet. So I was trying to find out, see if there's a way to maybe get the insurance policy or because he is insured, at least that's what he claims, and the city of San Antonio claims that he is insured, but the city of San Antonio won't give me the information that I need in order for me to at least try to either settle out of court or try to settle in court because he breached contract.
Okay, I'll tell you what, I'd love to talk to you and try to get you some help, Steve. Why don't you leave the number with Tracy on the phone there, but before you go, Steve, we're going to write this down, and we're going to try to follow up. And I really do appreciate you calling the show and letting folks know how dangerous it is to do business with contractors. Yours is another example of how people are getting hurt in this business. They don't have any way to verify it. And so what we'll do is we'll try to get you in touch with someone who will help you locate that insurance. It is a good thing if he does have insurance. You may have a little bit of help there. It's one of those, it's not 100% sure that insurance can help with something like this, but it is a better chance of getting help. And if you'll leave that number before you hang up with Tracy, then we'll help you. And then maybe we can talk about how this progresses in the upcoming shows as you get help. You might find that it helps other people too, if that's all right.
Great, yeah, sure, I have no problem with that. I mean, because I'm trying to look to see how, either, like I mentioned a little bit ago, whether negotiate with him out of court, because he's already told me that he doesn't want to give me any refund back because of the amount of money that we've lost, during the time that it has not been completed, and that's what I'm looking for. I'm trying to find out what I can do.
Well, we will get actively involved in helping you. I promise you that, and we will look for solutions. And there's more than a few tricks we have up our sleeve to try to help people like you. And so thank you so much again, Steve, for calling the show. It takes a lot of courage to do that, but maybe it's not all over with yet.
Okay, great. I'll be more than happy to talk with Tracy. Sure. Thank you.
Just like that, you called the show, we try to help, and this is a really good example of what we try to do in this business. Now, we're not trying to make everybody think that KM Builders is the only good contractor out there. We know we can help you. We know you won't have those problems if you go with us, but we do want to expose those who are not treating clients fairly. And it's going to become a bigger and bigger part of what we do because we've heard it so often. We want to help out. So let's get into any other questions that people have at 737-1200. for the rest part of this segment of the show, let's talk about this cost versus value. Some of the numbers were quite surprising, and quite frankly, I don't really believe that they're accurate. They're accurate for the numbers they got, they're accurate for the figures and the persons that they interviewed and so forth. And they do probably the best study in the industry at the Harvard University. But it's through Hanley Wood, and it's produced in Remodeling Magazine. But again, the people who are doing the magazine are just reporting what they get, and they help them facilitate and advertise it. One of the ones that was interesting was bathroom remodel. Mid-range bathroom remodels in San Antonio are expected to give a cost versus value recouped of 96%. That is the highest that I can ever remember seeing. And as far as bathroom remodel, not bathroom addition. In bathroom remodel mid-range, let me tell you what it is. It's talking about updating an existing 5x7 bathroom, like the middle of the house bathroom. Replace all the fixtures to include a 30 by 60 inch porcelain on steel tub with 4x4 inch ceramic style surround, new single lever temperature and pressure balance shower control, standard white toilet, solid surface vanity counter with integral sink. Solid surface, okay. That usually means cultured marble. If it's solid surface with an integral sink, that means it's built in. Sometimes they're marble, and a lot of these are packaged things that you're seeing in, like from Wayfair and so forth. Recessed medicine cabinet with light, ceramic tile floor, and vinyl wallpaper. So there's probably a lot of things in there that you would want to do more, and probably you wouldn't spend the exact same amount that this average is. I'll tell you what the average is right now being spent is around $17,000 for a middle of the range, a mid-range bathroom. And it's right on point with what I always tell everyone. These guest bathrooms, the hall bathrooms, whatever you want to call them, they start in the teens. And usually it's in the upper teens. We just did one for a master that was the simplest we could do it without going full board was $19,000. But usually master baths start in the 20s and go into the 30s all the way to the 50s, depending on what you're doing. But remember, this is very precise on what they're including. And it starts, this one is at 17, the 17,000 is the average price of this. And you're gonna get 96% back if you sell it. They said you would get $16,368 back if you were to sell it tomorrow, right after you did it. And most people aren't going to do that, so the chances of you getting all of it back would be almost 100%, because the bathrooms we're talking about are ones that need it, not something that doesn't need it, it's something that needs it. And it's such a hot seller in the industry that you will get all your money back. So we're going to talk more about some of the other exciting projects and some of the changes. We definitely want to talk about kitchens. We want to talk about bathroom additions too, because more and more people are asking for that. And master kitchen remodels, upscale and mid-range. We'll talk about some window replacements and a couple of other projects. But as we discussed, this year's cost versus value report on McKay & Builders Remodeling and Design Show. Sorry.
So the next one is, the next commercial break is when I remind you about true.
Yeah. So let's share a few of the numbers with people. We're not going to get to cover as many on the radio show.
What's the difference between a bathroom addition and a bathroom remodel?
Well, addition would be you're actually building out.
So making it bigger, most likely?
You're adding square footage.
And so when it's saying that you get 96% back, that means that people are really looking for updated bathrooms in a home when they're buying, right?
Right.
Probably.
That's what it means. That's the hottest, one of the hottest projects. It always has been. So you asked what would the addition mean in a 6 by 8 foot bathroom over crawl space, which means this is in basements and so forth.
Or
Over
attic.
basements with poured concrete walls.
Oh.
Use cultured marble vanity top with molded sink, standard chrome faucets, 30 by 60 inch white fiberglass tub shower. So it's probably about the same as doing, you know, an addition over here that doesn't use concrete walls. Because I look at the numbers and it shows me a bathroom addition up mid-range at about 40,600. So if you were only doing a 6x8, that's about right. You
Okay.
pay somewhere around 40. And if you were doing an upscale, it shows the upscale would, here in San Antonio, would be 57,000. So it's kind of weird that they're pricing something over a crawl space, which doesn't exist in San Antonio.
Yeah.
But that they're saying that that would be the price of it here, and then you know there's nobody in San Antonio that's actually doing those.
Yeah.
So they must be modifying something by not telling us, or they're not getting very much of that. They're just using a calculation to calculate what it would be for San Antonio.
Or maybe a couple of people reported that.
Well, it's not, it doesn't, they don't still build them over, remodel over a crawl space in San
Oh.
Antonio. That's not gonna happen. So we're gonna be talking about, a bathroom remodel upscale. And by the way, in the country, that it's right about this, it's a little bit higher in the country, the rest of the country, than San Antonio on the bathroom addition. So it's
So this one's south, or
west, south, central 57, and in the nation it would be 59.9. So 60% recovery, but only
we have a
only
higher.
45
Not,
on the bathroom addition. But on bathroom remodeling, mid-range,
higher.
we're higher than the rest of the nation, and we're higher than the west, south, central. We'll want to share some of that with the audience, but if you were to compare to Austin, we didn't get Austin 2018. There it is.
there it is.
Austin, mid-range, is only 83% bathroom remodel. So we actually outpaced Austin with it. I guess it's, they did better on upscale though than we did, as you can see.
Oh, yeah. So that's what makes the difference, you know, like what each location is looking for specifically,
Yes,
maybe.
that can be part of it.
Nancy Gillespie is watching.
Hi Nancy, how are you doing? All those who are watching live can see that I was working around the house today. Had to take care of a few projects. Didn't come in from the ministry like usual. How was your morning?
Jared was sick,
Jared sick?
really sick with allergies.
Is he resting?
Really bad. He was up all night coughing.
Poor guy. Did he work Friday?
Yeah.
It's not been easy, and those who work out in the weather. Let's look at major kitchen remodel mid-range. Let's look at upscale in Austin. You'll turn that off for me.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as he says it, turn on the music.
Okay.
Don't forget to remind me of this afterward. Welcome to the KM Builders Remodeling and Design Show. I'm Keith May, and along with Morgan. Morgan's back with us every week and helping us run the video part of the show. And thanks to Tracy for the great music and taking the calls. And we can take your call live. We have open lines right now at 737-1200 or 1-800-383-WOAI. We sure appreciate all the calls, and Steve calling in and telling us his bad experience, and he's going to help y'all as we help him through the upcoming weeks and let you know what you can do to solve a problem with an unscrupulous contractor. We're only hearing Steve's side of it right now, but unfortunately, most of the time, what we see it is once we verify it, it's usually true that someone's taking advantage of a homeowner. And Steve mentioned something that is just really sad. I mean, he trusted the guy, and so we're going to find out more about it and try to get him some help. And we're not here to be bullies or anything like that, but we just don't like this business being tainted by people who don't care or who misuse or abuse person's trust. And so I think it makes me think about how long we've been in business, and we would like to say that everyone is just perfectly satisfied with everything we do, but there's always occasions whenever throughout the years where you've had to learn how to do better, and we have really tried to do that. We've tried to make up anything that could have gone wrong on any project to make sure that we can honestly say we made it right. And we even asked them, will this make it right if we do this? And of course, they're glad that we even care about that. But this is what it's about in this business. To build a business, relationships with people is what builds a business, and we're glad to have been doing it since 1984, way before Morgan was born. And so she's only known this type of work that I've done related to the construction industry for a little while. I did something at USAA, and that's when I left there in '96 when she was three years old.
Yep.
And so it's been an interesting ride ever since we started doing it again full time. Even while I was at USAA, I was doing it part time. I kept my business open just in case, and sure enough, that just in case was needed. And so that's where we've been since 1996 full time. And the family has grown up in a remodeling and building home family business. And so Morgan is in charge of our marketing, and we like to deal with clients. She gets a lot of interaction with you clients, and we'd like to have your interaction right now at 737-1200. Let's go ahead and take our caller. I see we have Eddie calling.
Our bathroom, which has a shower and a bathtub in it, they're contiguous. We don't ever use the bathtub, so we wanted to make one big giant shower with a drain at each end that's already there, and shower heads at each end, which have already got the plumbing for that. My question for you is, what is the best material to make this out of, build it out of? Is it tile with a glass door, all glass, or glass block?
Okay, so the two materials that we'd be talking about would be the wall that separates from the bathroom, and then of course the rest of the walls. You probably are already suspecting that the three side walls that would be built together would all be tile, right? And then as far as the front goes, what separates it from the rest of the bathroom, that material, glass is a great one. And one of the reasons people like glass so much, Eddie, is because it shows the beauty that you put into the tile. With all the beautiful tiles that are out there and the stain-free grouts that don't even mildew anymore, if a contractor's using those types of products, you're going to get something that just looks beautiful for a very long time. The only negative I can say about glass is hard water deposits, and that usually can be taken care of if you are using soft water systems, or what we like a lot is the Aquasana system that we install, and it makes that stuff just really work well, not have to worry about really hard water deposits on there. And these systems usually start at about $1,700, so that would be the only negative. Some people don't want glass, they just want privacy. The block wall wouldn't be necessary even if you didn't do glass, Eddie, because what we do is we stud frame it, and we put the same materials that are going on to waterproof it that are on the other three walls, which are over studs, and then you seal that up really well, and then you put a hard surface like tile on there, and of course the floor is a different story. You've got to do a water pan, a shower pan, and all that, but You don't have to do glass block wall. If you wanted to do glass block, that's strictly again for looks, and that's a structural wall. It's good enough. It's really strong. It's just then there's a lot of different type of glass blocks, and so we do those as well. Does any of those things sound like it's on point with you?
Yes. The one thing is though, as I'm wondering, how do you make the wall that is the new wall, not the sides, the three sides that are existing? If you just put studs up, how do you make it rigid enough to keep it from wobbling?
Well, that's a very good question. If you're doing a stud wall, a lot of times we'll want a column all the way up. It's going to be best to do that. Otherwise, it gets a little bit complicated strengthening up. You have to go down into the floor, and if it's on a first floor, you really can't keep the wobble completely out of it. And once the tile is on it, to be truthful, and you strengthen it up correctly with good framing structural attachments, it moves very, very, very little. It gets very, very stiff real quick, and then so that means that if you were to lean on it, you probably wouldn't even notice it move at all. But that doesn't mean it doesn't move a little bit. So it is best to do a column. It isn't necessary, but if you want absolutely no movement at all, you run a connection point. And sometimes it could be done in decorative metal or something like that, just to fasten that to the ceiling, which would be blocked also. And that's what we recommend. You can do it without it, but you know, if you have a second floor, if you're doing it on a second floor, you can actually let in some of the structural members all the way into the floor system. Okay, right.
My other question, since you do so much of this, we've already done stone in our kitchen, pantry, dining room, guest bathroom, and laundry room. So we were thinking of using the same stone on the floor in the bathroom. Should we go with something else different than that stone on the walls of the new shower? Go with glass. We're in a Connell Barron home that was built in 2000, and for some reason the people that had it built didn't have it looped. And we've been trying to figure out a way to do unfortunately the water line does not come into the house on the garage side, it comes in on the opposite side. So we're having a heck of a time trying to figure out how to do a water softener that's not salt, because we certainly don't want to water our lawn with salt water, and I don't want to cook with salt water. So is there some osmosis system that's affected that you know of?
You've asked two great questions, and I'm glad to have answers for both. As far as the let's see, I almost forgot the first one, but you're saying about stone. Yeah, the stone on the walls is fine. You're going to have to seal it, and the only reason you might not want to do it is just for aesthetics and then the maintenance on it. But if you go with a porcelain and then maybe use some stone accents, you'll have a lot less maintenance. The grouts won't need to be maintenance. You can't use stain-free grouts on stone most of the time. Yeah, so that's one of the negatives too. But we could probably incorporate some stone in there to really tie it together nicely, and then you wouldn't have a big maintenance issue at all. So that's what I do. As far as, you know, glass is great. I think that's just going to be a really sharp look. With a good designer like we have, it would just come out awesome. The other thing is you said you don't have a water softener loop. And the product, this Aquasana system, can be it's small enough to be buried outside the actual some parts of it, and so you can do it on a side that's not the garage. You don't need the big water softeners. It does not require any salt. It does not require electricity to run it. It is a zinc and copper medium that actually creates the energy transformation in the molecules of the calcium so that they become calcite. And these do not stick to the walls. It changes the molecular structure of the water so that it does not stick. And in fact, if you have calcium deposits in your pipes, which you would have if you haven't had a system, it'll actually start leaching it out and cleaning out the pipes. And they've shown this over years that it'll eventually clean out the pipes. So that's how good it is at removing and not depositing. A system like that's going to run a little more when it's buried, so you're looking at a little over $2,000 probably to have it buried. But again, no salt, no electricity, and no wasting water. And here's another big plus: with the Aquasana system, you are going to have all the minerals that you want in your water. It's good for your grass, good for your body, and you're not adding any salt to your diet either, or to the lawn.
Would you put it in your home?
Actually, I am going to do that. As soon as we finish our remodeling, or part of the remodeling, we're actually going to do that. We're getting a new water heater and we're installing the Aquasana system. And I've had 0 complaints from any of the persons that we've had it installed. And they're just absolutely amazed at what they see coming out of their water because of the high filtration filters that are on there, which is to remove contaminants and chlorine and two of the 3 molecules of fluoride.
Is it spelled just like it sounds?
It's, yeah, Aqua, and then Sana is spelled S-A-N-A, and you can look it online. Don't be fooled by the pricing. It is less expensive online, and the reason is those are not Texas models. The models that they had to build for Texas are much, much beefier, especially San Antonio area and around there. It's some of the hardest water in the world, Eddie.
Well, thank you very much. You're a wealth of information. I love listening to your show. I always learn something.
But we love having you call. Thanks, and thanks for the compliment. Have a great day.
Thank you.
So just before we go to the break, I just want to mention my friends at Truly Nolan. They have helped me out in the past at my home for rodent and pest control, and they could surely help you. And it is still going to be cold, and rats and mice like to get in and find homes. So give them a call at Truly Nolan. Look them up at trulynolan.com, and it's spelled N-O-L-E-N.com, or call them at 1-800. That number is 468-7859, Truly Nolan Pest Control. And we will be back with the subject of cost versus value when we come back to the KM Builders Remodeling and Design Show. That was a great call.
Mm-hmm.
I love those calls.
It was nice too. Did you hear him?
Mm-mm.
He said, that was a good one.
So we're going to talk about the differences in the San Antonio Austin market.
Mhm.
And we're going to have major kitchen remodel. What other one do you want to cover? Minor kitchen remodel.
Yeah, explain the difference for that.
Mhm. Window replacement, vinyl. Siding replacement.
Is that a good one? Look at that big ol' 82% for grand entrance.
Garage door replacement.
Oh, that's what it was?
Mhm.
Oh, that's a big,
Mhm.
it makes it so pretty on the outside. You know, I bet people really notice when they have those pretty wood looking ones. We only have one more segment though, right?
Mhm. Go by quick, right?
Yeah. When there's calls.
This is what people like, to get specific answers to questions.
Oh, yeah.
And I like it because we can talk about a product without having to just talk about a product, but we're answering questions.
Mm-hmm.
you notice that?
Yes, all of a sudden these are more sensitive. I can hear my drink being put down.
What do you got?
Sweet tea. I heard my popping too. And I was like, what in the world? That's never been loud enough to hear that.
Welcome to the KM Builders Remodeling and Design Show. I'm Keith Maley with Morgan Maley Roberts, and we are taking your calls. We got one last section, but we did want to talk about cost versus value in remodeling. And thank you for the great calls, Eddie and Steve today, and any others. We always appreciate your calls. We're here to help. And we were talking about bathroom remodeling, and it was up mid-range, which is like a guest bath, is up to 96% return on value. Current cost versus value if you were to turn around and sell it tomorrow. That's what they're talking about. Now, as far as upscale, it's not nearly as good. It's about half of that. And if we were to compare to last year on upscale bathroom remodel, it was about the same. Last year, however, on mid-range bathroom remodeling, it was a lot. It was 20%. 22% lower on return. So I find it kind of hard to believe that it's really changed that much. But we do know that San Antonio is an increasingly better market. Every year it seems to be going up. And so I find it difficult on some of these numbers that went down to understand why that happened. But let's compare to Austin, because Austin sometimes gives us a little better reading because some of San Antonio is resembling what Austin market is right now. We're starting to look more and more like the Austin market. I didn't say we look like Austin, but we're going to look more and more like that market because of the money coming into San Antonio and how it's being discovered for a great place for investments. A lot of investors are moving into San Antonio, and we're seeing a lot of infill and downtown renovations, which make all of the properties more valuable. So in Austin right now, you would only get 83.8%, so 84% on a mid-range bathroom remodel, and an upscale at 70%, which is still pretty low. Historically, we've usually seen kitchens and baths in the 80s, sometimes as high as the 90s. Like we said, for some reason, San Antonio jumped to 96% on a mid-range. Upscale is in Austin is 57,000, and upscale in San Antonio is the same. It's 57,000. They cost the same, and in Austin on an upscale you're going to get a little better recoup of it. But it is what it is. If you live in more upscale home, you've got to do an upscale remodel, especially if you're doing a master bath. You're going to be starting in the 30s, going to the 50s. And let's talk about major kitchen remodeling. That's something different than a fixer-upper or putting, what do we call it, facelift, right? Mm-hmm. Well, we're seeing in San Antonio that you're only getting on a major kitchen remodel. Let's see here. Major kitchen remodel, thank you, Morgan. It's a little under 50% if you were to sell it right away. And a minor kitchen remodel is getting 62%. In Austin, a major kitchen remodel is 76+%, and a minor kitchen remodel is 89%. So these are probably more realistic what you get in your upscale homes. They may have done surveys on a few people here, and I really do think they're extrapolating numbers and bringing them over whenever they do. So one of the reasons I find it suspect is because they're talking about a bathroom remodel and additions. Any additions are talked about over a crawl space, which we don't do here at all. So I think they're extrapolating and using some of this information, basing it on some of the other projects they've got numbers on. But either way, I think that the numbers are still hitting around 70%. If you were to do an average of San Antonio and Austin, you're going to be looking at 70 to 80% on the bathroom and kitchen projects, which is what we always say anyway. It's usually around there. Vinyl replacement windows in Austin get 84.6%, and in San Antonio, 67%. Siding replacement gets 70% here in San Antonio and 74% in Austin. So those are still good projects. And the thing we want to remember on cost versus value is the intangibles. one of the intangibles is you're gonna enjoy it. You're gonna enjoy the heck out of it, and you're gonna get to upgrade your home, and the fact that you may have need to do maintenance anyway, so some of that money is going toward that. But it's going to be beautiful. It's hard to emphasize how much different you feel when your home really looks better, feels better, and you love it, and you can show it off. But it's going to add value, and most of the other things you need to consider is you probably won't be staying in there just a year or turning around and selling it. You're gonna stay in there for at least 5 years. If you do, you're gonna probably get all your money back, because inflation is continuing to expect to rise. And I can tell you, even in non-inflationary periods, wages in construction are still going upward because it's so hard to find good help. So that is not one of the areas of the economy that has stayed stagnant in wages. We continue to have to pay more. And we want to get the best for you at KM Builders. So if you'd like to have the best, we know we offer it. We know we can really take good care of you all the way through, from design to the finishing details. We have a 40-person staff ready to serve you, complete with a complete design department, architectural and interior and cabinet designs. Just give us a call at 680-KMCO, or look us up at
kmbuilders.com or Facebook at kmbuilders1.
So we hope that you have a great weekend, and remember, you could have someone else remodel your home, but then you'd have to live in it.
The proceedings